Get them fired up and get them to the staging lanes, baby, because 8th Mile Apparel is now carrying Going Bracket Racing merch. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more can be yours today by visiting 8thmileapparel.com. We appreciate each and every one of you guys supporting the Going Bracket Racing YouTube and Facebook pages.
Everybody, GBR Live, another Tuesday, April 30th, 2024, episode 153 of the Going Bracket Racing Live podcast. We come at you every single Tuesday on Facebook and YouTube, always live, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central Time, 3 o'clock if you're way over there and still at work right now. But of course, let's give a couple shout outs at the beginning of the show like we always do to the people who keep this free to the viewer every single week and have for several years now. TSR Racing Products, Power Glides, Turbo 350s, 400, 727 transmission parts, BRG 3D printed parts, anything you need, Brian Garrett will print it up for you. Any specialty parts you need for your race car, give him some dimensions, he can get it on there for you. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas, for your stickers, shirts, brochures, anything you need for your business. Call Greg Duffield over there at Syntex Printing, Driven Racing Oil. Use the code GBR10, get yourself some oil over there, get you some transmission fluid. Get you some rear end oil. And they got all kinds of cleaning products now, which I'm telling you, that Speed Clean is where it's at. Spray it on your back fender, get that rubber just literally fall right off. I couldn't believe it. GBR 10, save you 10% off your order over there on their website. Proform Parts, visit proformparts.com. And I'm all messed up right now, George, but visit proformparts.com. Check out their new brushless radiator fans, 50% more cooling power and a lower profile package. And let's see, I got to scroll down a little bit here. Crew Chief Pro software, of course, starting to get hot outside. Don Higgins got it figured out for you on that dial-in. You got any blind runs in the morning, you definitely need to visit crewchiefpro.com and get you a set of some Crew Chief Pro software. The Easy Light, if you're going to fill up your race car at night, if it's dark in your pit area, you turn on that Easy Light, and now all of a sudden the sun's back on. You can see where you're filling, don't overflow it. That racing fuel costs a lot nowadays, George, unless you switch over to alcohol like us, but you still don't want to waste it. And of course, 8thmileapparel.com, get your GBR merch, get you some hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and whatever else we come up with along the way. So, George, that's all I had to say about that, man. How's it going?
Not too bad. I can't complain. You know, it's been a pretty eventful week. I told you guys to watch out for that weather, so I'll go ahead and say right off the bat, prayers to everybody impacted by the tornadic activities out here in the North Texas / South, I guess it would be southern Oklahoma area there, but tornadoes ripping through the area. I think it missed Ardmore by about 800 yards, half a mile, so definitely shouts out to everybody as you guys go through rebuilding or whatever the case may be. Special prayers out to you. Speedy recovery from that damaging weather. But yeah, man, nothing to really complain about as we go through the week here. It's looking pretty nice and got a pretty action-packed weekend that doesn't involve any racing, unfortunately. Just got enough to do. And plus, the weather doesn't look 100% that good out here in the Texas area. So maybe some more storms in the area. Who knows? But definitely going to be an action-packed weekend across the country. And it's a great place to go ahead and show you what I'm talking about here. So as I bring up the first race going on this weekend, May 2nd through the 5th, we got to talk about the TB race out there at Beach Bend Raceway Park. Larry's Motorsports Insurance 100K shootout is involved into this thing as well. And starting off on Wednesday, racing for a brand new Mollish race car. I think it's $200 to enter that bad boy, $5,000 to runner up, and so on and so forth, as you can see on the screen there. But then you follow that up with Mosier's Thursday and Fuel Factory's Friday, and then Vintage Motor Trailer Sales, I think, Saturday. 250s and a 25. So this race is absolutely sold out. I know I've seen several of you guys looking for entries into this thing. We've been warning you for the last couple years now. You really can't snooze on the TB races. They will sell out very, very quickly. Keep your eyes on Winlight Bets. I'm pretty sure he'll probably be out there somewhere, getting us maybe a chance at playing a few games on Winlight Bets as well. Okay, so that's just one of them, but that's not it, because if you guys didn't get into that race and you're in the Midwest and you feel like you want to go run for 10K, look no further than Mid-State Dragway having the twin 10Ks start up. This is the racing series that we talked about last year, guys, that was $7,500 to win multiple weekends in a row. Well, they upped the ante. Not only did they go to a 10K payout for each weekend, I believe there's 6 big weekends, as you can see by this flyer here, but they went ahead and threw round money into the mix as well. Each racer will be racing, I believe, top 16 or top 14, something of that nature in box, and no box will get thrown into a free 10K at the end of the year. And I think there's two random drawings for the other 2 racers to make it an even field there. So don't quote my math. I could be off by a little bit, but anytime you can go double for $500 to run for 10 grand for the weekend, $500 for weekend entry at 10 grand. That's getting it done, man. So definitely another race where if you didn't have the ability to get out maybe into the TB race over at Beach Bend and you're wanting to get something done this weekend, look no further than Mid-State Dragway. Definitely going to be a good show out there. Last but not least, coming up in this Texas area, we got the Stampede. The Spring Stampede by Hose Connection. This will be a Flickr Promotions. Our good buddy Ryan Gleghorn been on this show maybe about 10 times. I don't know how many times he's been on this show, but he's been on the show quite a few times, and he's got a race coming up out here at the Motorplex May 23rd through 26th. You'll see that highly anticipated quarter-mile shootout, Casey. I know that's going to be one of the races that a lot of you guys are going to want to watch. Look no further than Going Bracket Racing for your live streamed event. We will have that event live on our YouTube channel, and definitely look forward to that weekend as well. Actually wish I was going to be racing it, but I won't. $5,000 on Friday to warm it up. Saturday and Sunday I'll go with 20 grand to win and $150 round money. $450 to enter the weekend. So Casey, that's what we got going on in our neck of the woods. And definitely going to be a very, very interesting week as we look into going into the weekend here. But we got a guest on the show today, Casey, so I'll let you do the honors of introducing our guest for today. Maybe we get a good chance to talk about some real good drag racing out in your way.
Absolutely, man. There's always good drag racing out our way, and this is a guy that's planning on bringing more of it to us. Not that we got a shortage already, but he thinks he can do a couple things a little bit different than everybody else. His name's Wes Ellis. He is the track manager at Coastal Plains, managed Darlington for a long time, managed Coastal for a while previously. Now we're back. So, Wes, how's it going, man?
It's good. How are y'all?
So far, so good, man. And yeah, we always start these episodes off with the exact same question within reason. How'd you get into drag racing?
Oh, man. So I was probably 18 years old, 19, and I was actually going through school in fire and EMS and trying to learn all that stuff. And I was volunteering at a department. My assistant chief at the time had been in drag racing as like a safety guy for like 20 years, 21 years, something like that. And he said, "Hey man, I need some help at the track one day." And I said, "Okay, we'll give it a shot." And I worked for Coastal for probably 7 years as the middle of the lanes guy, and it's been history ever since, kind of thing. So just kind of rolling with the punches there.
That's always, and that's something too that see, I didn't even know that about you, that
Yep.
you have fire and EMS experience, which is about the best background you can possibly have, really, whenever you're talking about race cars every single weekend.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. No. Yeah. My bachelor's degree is actually in criminal justice, so it all kind of just it kind of flew together somehow, and now I'm here and been in it for a while. So.
Well, I heard that, man. So tell me a little bit about Coastal Plains, because I'm not, as you well know. Otherwise, you'd seen me at your racetrack. I don't know how many times, since that's where Casey and our boy Dylan and everybody kind of frequents quite a bit there. But tell me a little bit about the history of Coastal Plains Raceway, because I know I heard at least about a year or so ago you guys might have been within your 50th anniversary of time spent at a racetrack. Tell us a little bit about Coastal Plains.
Yeah. So. Coastal Plains has actually been there since I think 1942. The Humphrey family took it over or bought into it, and I believe that was 1963, and they've been there ever since. So I mean, the Humphrey family's been holding it down there since ever then. They in 2000 they built a circle track, kind of 99 2000. They built that on the property. And so, yeah, last year was the 50th anniversary of Coastal Plains. Ronnie Humphrey, who's, kind of the known person of the Humphrey family that operates here for most of the time, he ran pro stock and HRA for a long time with Greg Anderson and those guys. And Coastal Plains has been around for 51 years now. And there used to be during that early stages of Coastal Plains, there was another drag strip about 20 minutes down the road from us over in Holly Ridge, North Carolina. And I'm guessing they ended up shutting down I think the early 80s maybe. And it's been a fun ride since I've been a part of it, at least. And it's a great facility. I mean, we're even doing more now than I think anyone's ever done in a year. We're building on the facility. We're growing rapidly and doing a lot of fun new adventures, and that's the reason the change. Everybody's always called it Coastal Plains Dragway for the longest time, but now we have a circle track, we have the drag strip, we have what we're building right now is a dirt plex, so it's dirt drag racing. It's a motorsports park. That's what it is. At the end of the day, it's a motorsports park. So they've been the Humphrey family's been good to it. That's for sure.
Absolutely, man. And that's kind of, we have a lot of Division III racers that watch our show, considering George and I both grew up there. And the way that I've always explained Coastal Plains is essentially if Gateway International Raceway was built in 1970, that's essentially what it is. It's like an original kind of like, it's just what you would imagine in I would say maybe the late 80s, actually, of like a super track type facility. It's not $1 billion facility like Gateway, but it's like the original version of it. So which is good also, because now you don't have the crazy overhead that Gateway has. Gateway closes time to time because of that. Now a billionaire owns them, so I don't think they will anymore, hopefully. But that's neither here nor there. But getting into it here, many people in the Carolina area know that you worked at Coastal for a while, then you went to Darlington for a while, and now you're back at Coastal. And historically, Darlington Dragway has been one of the best promoted tracks really in the history of drag racing. I mean, going back to Division III again, Bill Coolman, first 200-mile-an-hour door car there. Obviously, Darlington, if you ever go to the racetrack, you can kind of tell the entire town is basically built around the drag strip and the circle track in that general vicinity.
That's right.
But what did you learn working at Darlington that you can apply to make Coastal a great place to race and just better promote the track overall?
So something I learned a long time ago, again, someone that has led me before, he said, always chase the masses and never chase the elite. If you chase the masses, you'll always have a good racetrack. But working with Rhett down in Darlington, which Rhett is a younger guy, but that you would think he's in his late 60s with the knowledge he has of drag racing. He's a smart guy, and so is the Miller family. They eat, breathe, and sleep drag racing as a whole for a long time. So when I came into Coastal the first time, I was really never a prep guy. Like I knew how to prep for a bracket race. That was, I was good there. But Rhett taught me how to prep a radial race, how to prep for bikes, and the other thing is Rhett's also a good promoter. He knows what kind of like what works and what doesn't work because he is a racer. Like he was a racer for a long time. There's a lot of knowledge and I think the biggest thing that I took away from it was rubber management. When you're working with rubber, if it gets too hot, it's not going to work. If it starts to what rain gets under it, it's time to scrape it. There's I think the technicality side of being the racetrack manager, not so much the promoter side, but technicality side of being a racetrack manager and a prep guy is what I took away from it mostly. And just how to. I was always a big fan of just being the racer, like being friendly, always going out and talk to people. That's just who I am. Like I'm very good talker. But that's another part is like just it's not always so serious as the manager of a facility. People come back some people come back just because they love you as the manager. Like you have that great building relationships. So I think those are some of the key points. The biggest thing, like I said, is rubber management. Man, there's a science down to that stuff. So that was some of my biggest takeaways from it for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, Darlington for sure. I've only been there one time, but I went there on a test and tune night of all times to shake down Dad's fast car. And I mean, Dad even said, he's like, man, my shoes about came off just walking on the track on a test and tune night. Like that's unbelievable to us because where he races, if you go on a test and tune night, you might be no prepping for all you know.
Right.
So they obviously have it down pat there for sure. If you can, and it obviously you've taken things away from that. So that's only, that's a major complaint for everybody all the time. The number one thing that can kill the outlook on a facility is poor track prep. And that doesn't sound like it's going to be an issue any longer.
No, sir. Not at all.
That's always good to
Not
know.
at all.
Bringing in as a management side of things. I wonder if we did a census on going bracket racing, how many managers of the track actually understand how to put the track down at the same time. Because it's one thing to be kind of in an office. You know what I mean? It's the best way I can put it. It's another thing to get out there, get your hands dirty, get working man's hands because you're out there working the mop on the doggone track, or you see some rubber peeling up. So we got to make an educated decision on what we're going to do to make that stop to maximize it. So it's an excellent skill. I'm glad to hear you have bringing into Coastal Plains there. Another thing that we hear quite a bit here, and this is more so just a conversational piece, Wes, is a lot of our racers, and I think, number one, a lot of people like to not necessarily show off, but have people to watch them doing what they love to do. I know I'm probably one of them. All of us probably would love to pull into the lanes and see 150, 200 people standing on the side of the track, cheering you on, you watching money change hands and betting and all this other junk standing there right next to the track. What can we do to boost the participation at the local tracks, either by racers or by spectators? Either way you would like to take it, Wes, in your opinion, because that's what I want to hear. Opinions are all good here. Everybody already knows that. What do you think about that question?
So, I mean, George, what I'll do is I'll answer it from both sides of the ball. On the spectator side, you have to find a way in your facility as or any promoter, not even just that facility, but every facility, you have to find a way to have an attention grabber every time, right? And that's with bracket racing. That's with everything like that. The biggest way I've always kind of looked at it is, yes, you can have your top, mod, junior dragsters, motorcycles. And sometimes what happens is that's great to watch for the first time. If you get to watch it for the first time, it's awesome. But now you have to find a way to make that same person come back and come back and come back. And the best way that we've always kind of done it is you have to add another show to that additive. Like this past weekend, we've had the Gear Jammers, Classic Gear Jammers. They're a local North Carolina series. It's exciting again. There's something new. There's something fresh in their minds. And whenever you do that, your top, your mod, your weekly series still gets to have the spectator experience. They get to see new cars, a top dragster or a new door car. I think that's the biggest thing, is like how you get your spectators to keep grabbing onto and buying into what you're producing, because that's what you are as a track manager. You're producing a show every weekend, day in and day out. You're producing an event for someone to come experience that with you. Now on the racer side of things, man, as a track manager or track official for any event, you have to be consistent. Like, that's the simplest answer I can give anybody. Like, you can't go out there and give your buddy this slide or that slide, or let him get away with this and not go to the other guy. That's something that I believe in. I've had to, in different situations, I've had to, make hard decisions, for a guy that I've known for 10 or 20 years. I'm like, hey man, you can't do that. That's not allowed. Because if you're not fair to every racer as a whole, then guess what? If they can't, they're already on a playing field that something could happen to their car. You could lose oil pressure. You could do anything. You can't make it harder for them. You can't go out there and make it more difficult for a racer to win a race because the manager decided to do that. You know what I mean? And there was an episode I think you guys talked about a couple months ago, letting cars back into the race. We actually just had a recent conversation at our most recent first points race, actually, that the car you start round one with is the car you finish at the end with, and that's just how I am. That's only fair, because you do have guys that were making $20 an hour, and their weekend fun is going bracket racing. But then you have other guys that have 15, 20 cars, or maybe 4 or 5. 15 might be an exaggeration, and they can just keep switching cars. If something breaks, it's like, oh, let me go hop on the next ride. I don't think that's fair. It is what it is. But that's the two equal parts: is grabbing your spectators by producing something new every week, and then keeping your racers happy by just being consistent.
Yeah, and as far as kind of going off that same question,
yeah,
I've always thought, whatever happened to match racing? Why did match racing go away? Because that's the thing that was the big draw. Like, there were guys back in the 80s and 90s even still that could go places and literally make a living just match racing.
Right.
If in my mind, I've always kind of had this general idea. If you have a track like Coastal Plains that is long enough to handle pretty much whatever you throw at, because you still run quarter mile on test and tune night, don't you?
Yep, sure do.
So once, the way I've always thought about it, if you have a smaller track, like Coastal Plains isn't a small track, I'd say it's a mid-sized track, but just to compare, people who are watching this show in North Carolina know what Galat looks like, know what Coastal Plains looks like. If you have some door car go 450 at Galat, it doesn't look that fast. If you have them go down Coastal Plains, it looks fast. And if you turn the boards off and people don't know what they're looking at, they just saw no Prep Kings go down there as far as they're concerned, So like, if you just had and we have people like John Dock is right here in Benson. That's not very far. We have lots of, is Boost Doctor from here? I can't remember. He might be South Carolina.
I think he's like, at one point he was from South Carolina. I think at one point he was in like Western North Carolina somewhere. I don't know. I'm not, but yeah.
My point is that obviously grudge racing's huge in the Southeast, period.
Oh yeah.
And there's plenty of people that have their own followings that people will come out just to watch them. I saw one night, I went to a test and tune at Galat, and John Dock was going to grudge race somebody at, I don't know, say 9:00. Well, I was leaving there at about 7:30. And when I left, dude, they were lined up almost to 95. And you're sitting here, you're like, if only one person is in those cars, $20, $20, $20. And you're looking you're looking at like $20,000 in spectator fees. And they didn't even race that night because they couldn't come to a deal. But that's great for the track, because now that helps all the rest of their programs, where they don't necessarily, if they lose money on one or they make money on this one, it just doesn't make it so tight. So I've always wondered, like, why haven't people tried to tap into things like that and said, hey, John Dock, I'll pay you to come over here because I'm going to make money for the people that, come to watch you.
Well, and I'll tell you guys this. We, I think it was 2021. It was the first time I did it. We had like a high roller bracket race, right? I actually split it. I did a high roller for dragsters. I did a high roller for door cars. We did like a door slammers deal. And it was actually July 4th weekend. You know, there's other events in North Carolina that happen July 4th that are super huge for a lot of drag racing facilities. We added 2 jet cars, Alhana Motorsports. They're up from up north, and they came down and made 2 passes apiece. It was a match race for them. Like they knew what they were doing. They were there to place and put on a show. I'm telling you that Coastal at that time had never been packed out that much. They did. Honestly, they both ran, I think, 390 in the 8th mile. Like it was a quick time for them, you know, on that kind of a surface. But it was insane just for that experience, because jet cars are cool. They do have a dangerous kind of side to them, and you have to find those key additives where, like, as a manager, you're not spending so much money to have like a match race or like a special event showing, and you'll get a crowd. You know, people want to see these people that are on NHRA's TV or No Prep Kings or YouTube, for example. Like they want to meet them, and it's cool for them. I mean, that's the best way to do it. You gotta book something to make something happen in most drag racing facilities. You know, small tire race, another example. You can go out there and hold a small tire race, and you'll get so many spectators based off that. But that only lasts for so long. You know, sometimes eventually people are like, "Hey, I've seen this 100 times. I don't need to see it anymore."
Yep.
Right. Yep. Exactly. So this next one might be a little bit longer of a question here, but
yeah, man.
This was actually a question by your buddy Dylan Champion. He said he wanted to know this, so I said I'll add it in for you. So he said he wanted to know what races work best for a local facility. Like, how big is too big? Is there such thing as having too many cars? Like, where's the line between too big or too small of a race, considering money, payouts, entry fees? At what point, you know, because now everything is, we just had the spring fling here, you know, so that's a perfect example. 350 granders, $890 entry fee to get into all of them. Obviously, that's unattainable for a lot of people. Right. So being more of a local facility, I'll say, how big can you really put on without losing your core customer base?
Well, I mean, talking about the spring fling. The spring fling is way too big for us. It's I think for a local facility, depending on your kind of parking limits, I know for us it's like, I would say probably no more than 300 cars on the property, 350 at max. Just because I know for myself and our team, we can turn a 150 car bracket race as long as you don't have any major incidents in 6 to 7 hours and be done and going home. I mean, we perfect example. We had 5 classes this past weekend. We started right at I think we started right at 11 a.m. in the morning, and we were done. Well, we were done at about 8. But the problem, we had a huge transmission leak at one point, which that was 30 minutes of downtime. So, yeah, I'd say more than probably 300 for us is like where I'm kind of capping it at. And you know, we're speaking on big money bracket racing with the fling. We're not in the business to go out there and throw 250 granders or 240 granders or anything like that. Now, a couple 30 granders, a couple 20s, a couple 10s. Hey, I'm in the ball game. Let's play. But my biggest goal always when it comes to those kind of bigger events is to be smooth, accurate, and everybody get paid out. I don't enjoy having to move the ending of a bracket race to the next day, because a lot of things change. Like, especially for your bracket cars. I mean, if you change from night to day, you got temperature changes, you got air changes, you got all that stuff. So, yeah, 350 is probably my max, and I'm ready to race at that point.
Yeah, man, and that's an interesting answer. That's you know, speaking to what you just said about the things change whenever you get pushed to the next day. Perfect example, again, going back to the spring fling. Jeff Taylor wins and runners up to himself in the yellow and black dragster.
Yep.
If that all happened in the same day, I don't know that he wins that race, because now everything's a million degrees. He's hurrying up back to back to back. You know, having the fact that he won the first round and then knew what he was going to run, I mean, talk about an ultimate advantage coming in. Now, I think he might have had to run Jeff Serra. I don't know. So, I mean, maybe not. But at the same time, that's just how I think about it. So that is true, man. And I mean, I was talking the other day to Dylan, whatever that, it might have been your first or second event of the year, whatever one Dylan and I were out there, the Travis Morton one.
Yep. First, second.
Dude.
Yep.
Yeah, we went out there, and I want to say I went out like 5th or 6th round or whatever, and we just stayed because Travis was in. He's one of my buddies, so we stayed and watched Travis. And Travis won the thing. We, of course, hung out with him. Good job, this, that, and the other. I still got to drive 2 hours back home, and I still got home. I want to say I left the house at 6 in the morning, and I was already pulling back in the driveway, and the sun was still up.
Yep.
And I mean, you're talking 4 of that was driving time. So that's awesome whenever you can. And, luckily we didn't have really any issues that day, but there's too much time in between a lot of these tracks where you're sitting here thinking, why aren't we running cars down the track right now? Now, I understand at lunchtime, obviously all the guys got to eat. All your workers got to take a bathroom break at some point, get some water, things like that. But there's a lot of time where you're sitting here between rounds and you're like, why is it 30 minutes between rounds? This is all adding up. There's 7, 8 rounds tonight.
Well, and I'm going to tie those things back to George's question when he talked about spectators. You can't have, for spectators, you can't have a dead track. You can't. You cannot do that. The good part is what I enjoy about our team is that they're willing to, like, we have 2 water box guys, 2 starting line guys, a couple guys in the lanes. They'll sit there and rotate with each other just so everybody can go eat so we can keep racing, because they know as soon as we're done for the night and everybody gets to go home. They love the sport, but after 8 or 9 hours of standing on your feet all day, doing the water box or doing a starting line, they're ready to go home just as much as I am.
Yeah.
And we love the sport, but when you have a down track, your spectators they're gonna get bored. So we just like to keep turning. Like, if by the time we are finishing up top, our next class is already in the lanes. Like, we kind of flow that way. And that's, I learned that probably in 2021, just creating a flow. If you have a flow for the race, then that's as soon as you're going to get done.
Yep. Nope. That's spot on too, man. And hats off to you for taking that mantra.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? A lot of times, and even as, from a media standpoint, when we're watching the race on YouTube or something of that nature, a lot of us always tend to walk away from the computer whenever we know a certain round's there or something's coming. There's so much downtime. I didn't necessarily think at how much time that would actually be for a spectator out there battling the heat or in the elements, or they got their little kid pulling on them and crying and all that. But it makes a lot of sense. So we got a quick commercial break coming up here. Want to give a little time to our marketing partners. We're going to come back and continue with Wes Ellis, the manager there at Coastal Plains Dragway. If you got any questions, feel free, leave them in the chat. We'll come through and we'll get the questions out there. Hang in there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Here's the skinny on the ProForm Slim Fit radiator systems. They are the industry's first and only 4-inch thick radiator system. That's the radiator plus the shroud plus the fan combined. A complete unit that's up to 40% thinner than others on the market. Fully assembled for performance out of the box. Eliminate the stress and frustration that comes as precious weekend hours are lost trying to upgrade your cooling system with major space constraints. The Slim Fit system utilizes 2 patented pieces of technology, allowing for a seamlessly integrated radiator system with a 3rd tank in the center of the radiator where the high-performance fan motor is installed inside the core, not hanging off the shroud. The coolant can flow all the way through the radiator, eliminating dead space. And it looks especially great under the hood. Sleek angles, eye-catching perforations, and a smooth aluminum shroud complete the streamlined 4-corner design that defines style and a well-put-together engine bay.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick-release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top-selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177. All right. Welcome back. Going Bracket Racing, episode number 153. If anybody's counting, I know Casey's probably counting over there. I've counted a few. But thanks for being with us. Thanks for being part of the Going Bracket Racing community, both on the YouTube and the Facebook, as well as the Going Bracket Racing community out there in the real world, out at your local racetracks, doing what we love to do, breathing in that methanol, or now, hopefully you ain't breathing it in too much. You might end up in the hospital, but letting those fumes hit the nose, that burnt rubber smell that we all love. And of course, we can't keep it live here on Going Bracket Racing without Driven Racing Oil, Proform Parts, Mr. Easy Light himself. If you want to fuel your car at night, especially you gas runners, man, y'all fuel costs too much money. Don't drop a single dime of that liquid gold that y'all putting inside them race cars. Choose Easy Light. Old Eric Sandlin will take care of you, get you a easy way to fuel that car at night. Ken Jones Performance. Crew Chief Pro is in the building. Definitely for those races that go more than one day. You got Crew Chief Pro. You probably got a good chance at least knowing what your car is going to run. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with you off the tree, but you're at least going to have a good shot at knowing that, you know, within a couple thou what that car is going to run. Team 14 Motorsports always in the house. Syntex Printing, BRG Motorsports, 3D printed parts. He's got some new stuff out, guys. You guys really got to pay attention to what Brian Garrett's producing over there. He's got some real nice items coming out, and really, really well thought out things to add to your racing operation. 8th Mile Apparel, get you a GBR shirt. Get you one of these shirts out there, and go ahead and show everybody that you like going bracket racing. You know what I mean? TSR Racing transmission products, things of that nature. And last but not least, I got to tell you about those guys over at Your Ad Here. If you've never heard of them, one guy's name is George, I think, and then the other guy's name is Casey. And man, two of the most handsome guys you're ever going to see. And then on top of that, they got the best customer service I think I've ever had in my life. You want to get some of that good customer service experience, get your racing product out there, get whatever you want to get out there to the racing community. Hit us up over here at goingbracketracing@gmail.com, on the Facebook page, on the YouTube channel, wherever you want to hit us up. We'll be glad to work with you and add you to the list of marketing partners. But as we continue with the show, Mr. Wes Ellis is still live with us here on GBR. Wes, we've talked about what works best for local facilities and things of that nature, and how big is too big and all that other good stuff. Talk to me about what type of races you guys got going on this year, keeping some of those things in mind. Coastal Plains, I'm pretty sure, has a pretty packed schedule. Maybe you'll break down some of those events for us right here.
Yeah, so we're obviously just gotten started into our WDRA point season. Those are happening usually about once, twice a month, 2 days normal, top mod, junior dragsters, and motorcycles. Some of our bigger events that are happening, we got Summer Double Dimes coming up in July, which is 2 10Ks for $250. You can do that deal. Also, at the beginning of July, we have Summer Thunder, which Casey mentioned, match racing, Earth Shaking Entertainment out of, I believe they're out of Western North Carolina near Winston-Salem. They are alcohol, funny car, wheel standers, all that kind of good jazz. And then we also got Foot Brake Fury, which is in September. That's 2 5-granders. Like we're not big money bracket races yet, but we're definitely in the medium money. So those are going on. We always have this will be I believe it's our 38th annual Thanksgiving race, which comes up in November, which is super huge. We get cars from all over the country. It's the November 16th and 17th of November this year, because we are doing some more upgrades in the off season. And what else? Am I missing something else? Oh yeah, Carolina Chaos 460. That's coming into the game this year. Actually, first race is May 11th. That's coming up. A little bit of index racing. Kind of resembles your Verge cars or your your Mooresville 470 cars. We've opened that up, and there's some interesting things happening in Carolina Chaos's world right now, obviously by the name. So we're excited for all those kind of things, man.
Awesome, man. That's definitely exciting to me. My car's still not out here yet. It's done. It's just sitting in Illinois, so I'll be joining you in that 460 deal hopefully sooner rather than later. I'm waiting on this. Well, it's a big long story, but anyway, I'm getting a building built, and the building was supposed to be done in March, and then it was supposed to be done in April. And long story short, it didn't even deliver to my house yet. It's supposed to be delivered this time next month now, so I'll believe it when I see it, type thing. But once that's there, then I plan on doing some testing, hopefully participating in that myself. So I'm glad that you guys are going that route as well. And obviously that'll put on a show for more spectators. And people forget about the fact that the racers like to watch that stuff too. Like, guess what? Yeah. All these racers like to watch race cars. Who would have thought, But,
that's right.
Go figure.
Dylan just asked in the chat over here, did he hear about a double 5K foot brake race?
So yeah, he did. So yeah, Foot Brake Fury is something that we're bringing in on the deal. That's in September, 2 Saturday and Sunday deal, and we're excited about it. I mean, I think this is the first time in a long time that Coastal's. I call it medium money. We're not big money guys. We appeal to a working guy. So yeah, we're excited about that. Foot Brake Fury is going to be pretty cool.
There's a big. No, go ahead.
I was going to say North Carolina's a true foot brake state, so we got to stay with foot brake world. So
that's right, man. And I think there's a huge opening personally that I think there's such a gap now between local racing and big money racing. Like it's like you race for $3,000 or you race for 50 or 70 or something,
That's
and
right.
Everybody forgot about the 5s and 10s that everybody loves. And personally, one of the best events I've ever been to, as far as just the justification of paying the entry fee to race, was Galat's triple nickel race that they had a couple years ago. They had 3 5-granders, and it was $50 a day. And I mean, when obviously you have to have a lot of cars to be able to make that profitable for the track and stuff like that, but you get a lot of cars because it's $50 to race for $5,000. Everybody's going to do that.
Right.
So I personally like that route because everybody can do it. There's at that point, even though it's top bulb only, foot breakers can justify going and seeing what they can do because it's $50.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing. I mean, I personally like just in our normal weekly series, bracket series, there's a couple guys in there that foot brake that could wear some of those top bulb guys out and put them on the trailer pretty easily. So, hey man, for $250 for our summer double dimes, I'm sure you'll see a couple foot breakers in there, going a couple rounds for sure.
So, I agree, man.
So I got one, Casey, off the cuff here, man. I don't see it on the list. I don't think I had to read through a few times to make sure of it, but it's a great time since you mentioned a race like what Galat had, Casey. $50 to come and run for $5,000. That's going to have doubles involved, I would have to imagine.
Yeah.
So Wes, I want to bring this up as it is a hot topic in drag racing right now. It's going to continue to be a hot topic. The art of doubling and buying back, or not buying back, and all this other jazz. Casey, sorry to catch you off guard with this one, but I know your mind is definitely going to be open to this particular question. Wes, give me your thoughts. Is there a limit to where you really can't do buybacks because you got doubles? If you got 300 cars or if you got 250 cars at your track, you can't allow doubles or buybacks both. What are your thoughts on that from a track management position?
To answer your question, first and foremost, is there a race that I would take away buybacks with? That answer would probably be yes. But the thing is as a promoter, the first thing you got to look at is you got to look at your potential. And for like us, for our double 10Ks, we'll probably, I would say anywhere between 250 to 300 cars on the property. If you know before you even start the race that there's that kind of deal, we already know from the get-go when we're doing our double summer dimes, we're only going to get one buyback, and that's it. I'm not really a huge fan of the reentry stuff. A lot of people love it. A lot of people don't. I like buybacks because you still, as soon as you're done with the buyback, you're already cutting the cars in half. You're already lining down those ways. Now, do I feel like you should ever completely take them away for a race, like for one of my events? My answer is no. I don't. Because I know what my team can stand. If we get to a point where we're already expecting like 200 or 300 cars, then we're going to cap it right where we can handle still providing the buyback and getting the race done in a decent amount of time. We're kind of lucky because our curfew is a little later than other people's. But I think the biggest thing is a lot of your racers, man, when they look at buybacks, they're using that buyback round as another time run. They're dialing in that car on that buyback round. So if they lose that round, guess what? I lost, but now I can take that data, put it in the system, and now I can be sufficient for the rest of the race. I guess to answer your question, George, my answer is no. I don't think there's ever a time to take away a buyback. Always having a single is good. Just one single buyback, hey, that's your one opportunity to lose.
Yep.
So,
and here's an interesting shoot off from that topic. Super Comp over here in the YouTube chat says, I guess, what's your thoughts on this in the scenario that we just had where the Fling totally got rid of buybacks because they had so many cars and Galat has a curfew at like 11 o'clock.
right.
One buyback per driver, no matter how many times they're entered. So he's saying, I assume he's saying, if you're a double entered guy, you got one buyback. If you use it, fine. If you don't use it, fine, but you can't buy them both back.
I think that's a good opportunity. Yeah. I mean, I just want to congratulate Josh Peak and Peter. They did a phenomenal job, in my opinion. I don't think they expected the amount of cars. I know they expected 300 to 400, and every big money bracket race should. But hey, man, for them to pull those kind of numbers, looking from the promoter standpoint, I think that was a phenomenal event. I think they dealt with what they had very well. Prep, getting the race in and trying to make everything work. And I would say weather was in their favor too, which was really good for them,
And finished all the races.
Yep.
And finished all the races. Most big money rec races, I can think of a couple in my past that didn't get the opportunity to finish because they got till Sunday night at midnight, But the thing is,
right.
is the way he had it, where he had that Sunday as like a backup day, was really, really smart. I think as long as you do that, then you can still be sufficient as a promoter or a track organizer. For sure.
I agree, man. And so we'll just go to the next question here because I don't want to take up all your time tonight. We could talk to you all night here, but
yeah, man,
this is something that I know for a fact that you want to explain to everybody.
Yeah.
Because there were people that I don't think they 100% understand where you're coming from. So Coastal Plains, you recently introduced round money into your program.
I did.
And I want you to explain to everybody, how does round money affect, first of all, the turnout? And can you explain how the round money benefits the racer, even though the entry fee has to go up, in my opinion, a very minimal amount that if you, I think it was like $10 or something for top. So if you're worried about $10, man, I'm sorry, you're in the wrong sport.
And that's a McDonald's cheeseburger meal. Ain't nobody trying $10. Come on, I'm sorry about that. Keep going.
No, you're good, man. So the round money, this was our first go at it. Like this past weekend was our first opportunity at it. As this new event flyer comes out for our second points race and third points race, everybody will kind of see that we've made some adjustments again. The biggest thing about round money for me, one, everybody's doing it now. Like, let's be honest. If you're not doing it as a management or a promoter for some of your events, especially your local stuff, most times you're cutting half your racers in half because they're starting not to be able to afford it. It's the economy we live in. 20, whether it's 10, 15, $20, you're getting some kind of money back. The reason we went around money is pretty much that, is that if you go into a race and you enter for $85, but you go to round 4 or 5, you don't make the semi money, but you make round 4 or 5. You pretty much paid your entry fee back. You might not have paid the fuel, you might not have paid, your buyback money back, but you got something, So it's finding new ways to make it easier on the racer. Especially in our area, Casey, I think that we were probably one of the last tracks that didn't do round money. So we just kind of made it consistent for everybody. We're not the biggest track in the state of North Carolina. There's a lot bigger facilities, but we're trying to make it work for everybody, where the masses of bracket racers, you can still afford to race, even though, rent's going up, mortgages, APRs, all that stuff. We still want, the guy who makes $20 an hour can come race, and the guy who's, making $3 or $4 million a year can still come race too. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just trying to include everybody as much as we can. We had to go up a little bit, but the reason we had to is we as a bit, we're like, yes, it's racing, yes, it's a motorsports facility, but we're a business. Like we
Right.
have to pay the bills. We got to, we don't, you know, everybody says you shouldn't get into racing to make money. 100% correct. Agreed. And whether you're a track manager, you're a race owner, or a track owner, you're a race car owner, yeah, you're not in to make money, but we got to pay the bills so we can keep going. And with that, it made it where we could, and now after the first one, learning some things and looking at our current numbers of how things are working, we're going to be able to adjust that a little bit. Still make it financially fair for everybody.
I really like it. I
Right.
like it a lot, actually, man. And to be
Yeah.
honest, with you, I'm gonna use Reggie Lynch here in the YouTube side of it, Casey, where he's saying fifth, sixth round leaving, going home with nothing. Man, that's a sour taste for however far you got to drive to the nearest Waffle House, right? Because that's just about
Right.
where everybody goes anyway. Well, that same fifth or sixth round effort, when you drive to Waffle House, as my mouth begins to water, you at least money to pay for said Waffle House because you just won some of it. You know what I mean?
That's
So
right.
that's a pretty good comment there, Reggie Lynch. I'm kind of glad you brought that up. Casey, you were going to say something, buddy.
Well, I was actually getting ready to read the exact same comment, and I have a comment to add to it. I'm the perfect example. I lost the round before the semis last time I was there, and
Yep.
had this been part of the program at that race, it would have made it where I made my entry fee back, so I didn't have to buy back that day. So I would have
Right.
made my entry fee back. So basically what it does, it either offsets the fact that it makes you feel like you essentially didn't pay for racing that day, or it pays for the diesel fuel in your truck to go all the way back home, or it's just, people I saw through the comments that there were people saying, well, obviously entry fee is going up. Nobody wants that to happen. And you don't
Right.
want that to happen either. They forget about
No.
that.
No.
If you could do it for free, you'd love to do it for free, but you can't, so,
Right.
but also at the same time, what they're not understanding is the average racer figures, I feel like any competitive racer is like, I can usually average getting the third, fourth, fifth round, something like that. Maybe you're not going to win every single race, but your
Right.
average weekend racer can kind of figure on they're not going to suck every single week, And if you think about it, okay, it's $10 more. Me and George were talking about this earlier today. You get to fourth, fifth round, something like that. And now all of a sudden you've offset that extra $10 for the next 6 or 7 times that you go there. So
Right.
all you have to do is do reasonably okay once or twice a year, and none of this matters anymore. You still came out on top. But
Right.
the fact is you can get a little taste all the time. And that's why, all this circle track stuff, they get like start money and all this stuff. And that's why they can do what they do. Because circle track racing makes drag racing look like you don't have to pay anything.
Right.
But
Oh man.
yeah, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to explain that a little more, because I don't think people are thinking about it properly. And I know you kind of got jumped on about that, and I just wanted you to have the opportunity to kind of explain your way of thinking.
Well, and Casey, I'll tell you this much, man. Like, I was out of drag racing for a year total, and I came back into this place with a bunch of new ideas. I came back with a new energy for drag racing. So there's going to be changes, and not, we're all human, and not everyone's going to like the changes. But y'all talking about putting a sour taste in your mouth. I want to talk about actually a race that happened this past points race. Is I had 2 guys go top bulb. They get in there both off the tree, trip zip with a 6, both of them. Right lane lost by 1/1000th of a second, and in the 5th round. That's a sour taste. But guess what? He still got some money back in his pocket.
Right.
Hey,
So,
That's great.
Or taste where it might be sour, but it's okay after I get out of the race car and let it all fall off of me and see just the thou, and you blink your eyes and it goes the other direction, to go reach in my cooler and give him a bottle of water for sending me
right.
whatever else is going on.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Right.
Good one. So now a little birdie on the wall. It was Casey. He told me that you guys had a chance to take a team to IHRA bracket finals at one point, and then actually win the son of a gun. Talk to me. How was that, man? As a team, I'd imagine the racetrack's camaraderie probably took a really big jump after that.
So we took a team in 2020 when I first got in the Coastal. I think we had like 20 or 30 cars, and it was interesting. It was a good time. The next year, So at the time we had an administration manager. Her name was Allison, and her son actually raced in junior dragsters, and she was fired up, and so was I. Like we were excited. But this was the first year that Coastal actually took. IHRA had a limit at the time how many cars you could take from the facility, and we took exactly 42. 40 cars. I think we ended up splitting it with like 15 top. We had 15 mod, and we had some juniors fill in, and then we had 2 alternates that just kind of came to. You can run the gamblers races as the alternates. Well, at the time, Rhett Gardner was the manager of Darlington, and Josh Peak was the director of Division 9. So we were all we had a little group chat going back and forth, and we decided to make it interesting. We had like a running tally between tracks that we would throw $500 in the pot, and we would donate it back to our racers after we won, kind of thing. So we all threw 500 in. So we're on Facebook, we're all jib-jabbing, going back and forth with each other and making memes and all kinds of stuff. We had a blast. So I think it made it more fun for the racer because it was entertaining leading up to it. There was excitement built on. So we go into the first couple of days. I'm over the top excited. I think I got there on like a Wednesday. We get in there, and I'm a very, in case you can tell you, I'm very exciting. Like I'm always like jumping around on the starting line, or just it's very rare that you don't see a smile on my face at a race. So go in there, I got like team flags made put them on big old poles and all kinds of stuff. And what I would do is every time one of my guys would go up there, I would, how like in small tire heads up racing, guys go and walk and guide their drivers to the starting line. Mm-hmm. I would follow every car up to the starting line consistently. And I'd wave that flag so Rhett and Josh could see it. It was a good time. And at the end of the night, we ended up having 3 cars. No, I'm sorry. We had 4 cars to win. We had a junior dragster driver, Courtney Silence. Her dad, Jamie Silence, which you guys might know Dwayne Silence. He runs PDRA. He was in top. And then this is going to make me, if I pause, don't worry about it. But Tim Lucas was also in top. And then in modified, we had Jason Kraft. He drives that red burgundy Monza, beautiful car. And we were neck and neck with Darlington. I think we ended up winning by like 9 points because every round one's a point. And sure enough, we're like down at 8 cars between all classes. Courtney loses in the semis. Jason loses at the final of modified. And Tim and Jamie Silence, they go into the final of top ET. It was an all coastal final. Me and Allison and the team at the time, we were the first ever Coastal Plains team to do it. It was the first time we ever took 42 cars, and we hit the record books. Farmington. We talked about a little bit about Farmington. They've won it 11 times. Wow. I'll tell you this. Yeah, they've won it 11 times, and then we were all IHRA. So when that happened, I think it set Coastal on the map for us. I was on a high horse. All the racers were on a high horse. We all had a great time, and back then Ironman's like you go to a local race and your Ironman was a little bit smaller. Mm-hmm. Well, this one that you win at Bracket Files, that thing it's massive. So when I came home the following Monday, I walk into the office and I'm holding on my shoulder like we did this, like the team did this, and I'll never forget it. It's actually if you look at my laptop screen, the championship photo is actually my backdrop, and it's I'll never forget it. And Tim Lucas has past couple years, he had passed away. And every time, that's actually another race that the Tim Lucas Memorial is for him. And that's the only time he's ever won a championship. And
really,
we got to be a part of that too. So I'll never forget that story. I'll tell my grandkids when I'm 80. So it was exciting for sure. Now with us being WDRA, I'm hoping to go do it again. It was cool.
Yeah, man. I know that everybody's always competing against. I've participated in some NHRA bracket finals back in the day, and everybody's always so busy competing against each other. But there's always one time where everybody's on the same team, and it's always funny. I'm sure it's really funny as a track manager. You're like, man, you guys hate each other every week, and now you're all best friends. So you actually don't really hate each other like you think.
Well, and I'll tell you this much, Casey. The reason I fell in love with track management as a whole is the camaraderie. I've never been in a race car. I've never done the pull the nitrous button. I've never done any of that. the camaraderie between racers and track managers and staff. That's what I live, eat, and breathe, man. And that's the reason I do it. I do it for y'all. I don't do trust me, you don't get a track manager because you want to live a nice, relaxing life. So, I mean, I do it for you guys. Yeah.
Awesome, man. And that's perfect transition into this final question here, man.
Yep.
Nothing says that we're going to make things better and we're planning for the future like reinvestment into the facility. And I know you have a whole bunch of plans that you guys are going to do over the winter this year. So let's talk about some of the major updates that are coming to Coastal Plains for, I guess, what will be the 2025 season.
Yeah, so there was like 3 things that were kind of put in front of me as soon as I walked in the door. The timing system, which is Porter Tree timing system, and they're great to work with, and we've fine-tuned that bad boy and made it something nice. And next on the topic is our PA system. You know, we're actually actively working on doing that. And then in 2025, man, we're hoping to do a full refor on the racing surface. It needs it. You know, we're getting ready to knock the kinks in, and that's kind of the reason. Normally our Thanksgiving race is like the last weekend prior to Thanksgiving. We moved it up a week, so we have roughly 3.5 months to make the new surface and make it right. So we're excited about it, man. And it's going to bring 2025. You know, you thought you were going fast in 24. Wait till 25. We're going to be really fast. So
awesome, man. So whenever you're repaving, also you're repaving top to bottom, aren't you?
Yeah. So if you go to our facility, we have 3 turnarounds off, and one of those is, so if you measure the track from water box to the very bottom, it's almost a half mile. Mm-hmm. So the goal is to pave all the way to our second to last turnaround, and then create a new safety area at the very, very, very bottom down there. So yeah, man, we're doing all that and then some, and trying to make sure we stop breaking the dragster front tires, because if you go all the way to the bottom, which a lot of people don't do, you go all the way to the bottom, it gets a little bumpy down there after a while. So
now being a half mile total is, I don't know if this would be totally up to CCRA, obviously, but I would also think maybe those guys would want to run quarter mile potentially if they worked it into their program. You think they would still be all right, because they'd still have, if you're, man, I don't know, that's tough.
That's moving.
Yeah, a half mile, because some of those super stock cars, they'll go 150 mile an hour. So that might not be enough room quite yet to go quarter mile racing. But you could run 1,000 foot, which I think they do at the divisional.
Yep, they do that at the divisional. And that might be an opportunity for like a super stalker race kind of a deal. And I'm going to tie back into Carolina Chaos. You know, right now we're just a 460 class. I'm not done this year. We're fine tuning some things there, but I think in 2025 you might have a little blast from the past moments where Coastal used to run the Mountain Motor Pro Stock Shootout and Pro Mod Shootout. So
awesome.
Who knows what happens in 2025?
I know Elijah Morton's right there by you.
He is. He's not far. He's right down the road from us, and he owns a company down here called Morton Trucking. So you never know. You never know what you're going to see in 25. We're not going to say we are doing it yet until we got all our stuff together.
Yep. Well, it really sounds like whomever are partners with Coastal Plains Dragway, they're probably in a really, really good place. Very happy with your service. So who do you have to thank for helping you guys get through?
So this year so far, Total Venue Concepts has been huge. Mass Traction has been huge. Porter Tree Timing Systems. Humphrey Heating and Air has been a huge deal for us, and that's where we're at so far. Lejeune Motorsports, I don't know if you guys see us, but we have side-by-sides that are all around the facility. They provide those for us, and man, we have a good team, and that team is continuously growing right now, and we're excited to see. You never know, you might see a concert or two by the end of the year.
Awesome, man. Well, we can't thank you enough for joining us and spending a good hour with us here on the Going Bracket Racing community. And Casey, man, I don't have much in closing. What do you got for Wes in closing?
Man, just appreciate everything that you're doing, and all the, like I said, reinvestment in the facility is always great. especially in days like today where people it's few and far between. A lot of people just swing the gate open and hope for the best. And I mean, it sounds to me like this year's going to be great, and the upcoming, next year, you actually have something to look forward to now for next year. So it's only going to get better from here.
That's right.
That's awesome.
That's right. That's where we're headed.
Well, that's awesome. Guys, keep in mind there's a lot going on this weekend. Make sure you tune in over there on the Motor Mania side of things to watch that TB race. Guys, if you're not going to that race, make sure you try to get out there to Mid-State Dragway. Keep your eyes peeled for things to come. Until then, I guess we can say we'll see you guys next Tuesday. Take it easy. Have a good one.